Okay, let's work on generating fake data for the post entity. So, I think a good place to start is to start writing the function that will use Faker.js to generate the fake data, and each time we face a problem, we will go implement a solution. So, post data, not date. Okay, and it will, sorry, what this? I opened the source control by accident. So this will return an array of partial post empty. Okay, and I'll just copy paste this. Oops, copy paste this and change the user entity to partial entity, to post entity, sorry. And this complains because the properties are not correct. So we don't have about, we don't have a role, we don't have any of these actually. So what we will have is the body. What? Yes, okay. Body would be equal to lorem dot paragraphs, I think. Let me just check. Yeah, paragraphs. Paragraphs. And invoke it, of course. And the title would be to lorem dot words and user. Oh yeah, just let me just explain something. So if you want to store a user that is referenced with this post, you can't just, and it won't work in type ORM if you put like this the column name inside the post table. You need to, you can't do that. You can't put the user ID, for example, 1. You can't do that. So what you need to do, you need to put the user and pass a user object to it. Okay, and we can do that, but the problem is we don't know the users that are stored inside our database. So what I will do, I will just pass null here for now. So what I will do, after you add your data here, I will allow you to store it anywhere you want by allowing you to pass the callback function to it. I'll just remove this line. This was me trying things here. Yeah. Okay. So after I save the data inside the entity manager, it's available here inside the callback in the then for the promise. So here I will call your callback and pass to it the saved data. Not your callback, the callback I will pass here. So I will just call it callback. It will be of type of function. So this is how you define a function type, and it won't return anything. But it will accept a parameter. I will just copy this here. It will accept the same thing. You don't need to have the same, of course, obviously the same name here. But yeah. So if you pass the callback like this, if cv callback, I'll just call it with the saved data. Okay, and yeah, I think one thing is I need to make it optional by adding a question mark after the name, so you don't need to pass a callback function. That's why I made the if statement. And what I will do, I will store all the objects I created inside an array of users, all the users I created inside an array of users, and reference them here inside the faker object, which represent the posts, inside a random dot array element, and pass to it all the users. So for each post, we will have randomly selected user from the array of users we inserted previously. So what I will do, I will create here private users will be of type, or just copy this array of partial users. Can say that? I think, yeah. Private. Yeah, I also changed the font. I think obviously, but yeah, but I hope you don't mind. I'm just trying this new font. I think it looks nice. So I like to put the properties here and define the types for them, and in the constructor I will initialize them. I find this a little bit organized, more than just put everything at the top. And here I will pass a callback function, which will store inside the users the array, the save data, sorry, and how we can access that. So it's here, like this. Yeah, I have here a backstick, sorry. So yeah, and the type of that will be, I'll just copy this, just don't want to type it, but not the generic type T or anything, which means, so it would be a array of partial users, like this, and I will store it inside the users. And now in the post data, I can type random dot array element and pass to it an array, which is the this dot users. Yeah, and what I can do inside the app service, let me just delete all these comments. I will just call this with the post entity, like this. And here I will also, of course, I need to handle the case when the entity is post. Let me just remove the default and the break. Okay, so case when it's a post entity, I'll just copy this here. So add the post data and pass the entity, yes, and then I don't right now have need to pass a callback function for the post. So I can run this now, and I think I will just show you something. But before this, let's just, I hate that I duplicated myself here. So let me just cut this and private, I'll call it ARR, which should return this. Yeah, just return it. So it will be an array of undefined. Undefineds, I can follow them like this. And I'm not sure, I think I missed something here. So this will be a process dot env, and I will go to the env file. Yes, seed num. So process.env, not in names, event names. So yeah, process.env.seed num, or which is 2 pipes, 100. So the default is 100. Of course, this will return a string. I will just parse it as number. And here I'll just call this dot array. And of course here as well. And you can make it a little bit more better, like passing the callback function that maps the array here. But yeah, I don't want to waste some more time. Don't want to waste more time. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I just wanted to make small changes, but yeah, forget about it, about how the code looks like. But so what we are doing, If when the entity is a user data, I will just store the users and put the array of stored users inside this property users. And in the post, when I save the posts for the post, I will reference them randomly for each post. But this and in the app service, I am calling fake it with user entities and fake it with post entity. But the problem is, if I run this, npm run start, most likely, which is yeah, most likely you won't see a user ID inside the posts. It will be nulls. And I will just show it to you, but I will try to explain it until this works, until this runs. But the problem is that if you go to inside the seed class and go to where we store the data, so inside the add data function, we are using the entity manager dot save function. So this, as you can see, returns a promise of a generic type array. So promises in JavaScript is a way to write a concurrent application, which means if you have two promises running at the same time, if you have two promises running, it means they are running at the same time. So what this means in our case, that the users array inside this class most likely won't be available when you run the post data function. So here it will be an empty array. That's something to keep in mind. So what we want to do is to wait until the first promise finished, which stores the user entities, and then execute the promise that will store the post entity. So we assure that the users array exists. To prove that my 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 explanation is correct, I will just show you the database data. But I think there is something wrong here. Yes, there is something wrong. What? Null value is column name violates level contains. Maybe where is that? We have a name inside the users. Null value in column. So let me just check the database. I'll just debug it here. I won't stop the video. The users. So we have that inside the users, but what about the posts? Maybe you know something? I think sometimes the terminal just behaves weird. Just I'm not sure if this error occurs again. I will try to solve it. So npm run start. But as you can see, that all the user IDs are null. So we can fix that. But and how we can fix that is to use the async await feature in JavaScript. So we can await promises before executing, we can await a promise before executing another one. So first thing, we will convert the add date inside into a async function, and when you convert a function into async, it will return a promise, not void. And the promise accepts a generic type, which in our case now it's void. And now return this promise, the entity manager. Okay, and we are using the add data in the switch statement above, so we also need to return it here and also here, and this will be promise void, and I will add a sync here as well. And inside the app service, I will create a private method called fake data, and it will be a sync method, and we'll return promise type void, and here we can call these two, and first await for the users, then await for the users. After this finishes, the post entity will the promise that restores the post entities will work, and of course we need to call it fake data. Just a quick side note, a sync await syntax is syntactic sugar for the async generators functions inside JavaScript. So they look like this. So you define a function, for example, x. I think you put a star here. They look like this, something like this. You put a star somewhere. But the idea behind them that you can create opposable functions. Which pause the execution in some place, and then you can resume executing from the same place with the same state of that function. I think you can Google that synchronous generator. But yeah, that's just a quick side note. Let me now just run the code. Hopefully nothing is bad. Hopefully we don't see that error. I'm not sure why does that happen. Maybe because I deleted all the tables from the database, because I was testing area and there is were a lot of data in the database. So let's just see now. Okay. Yeah, there is no errors. Maybe that's the case. If I figure out why, I will tell you why that error happens. But maybe because sometimes sometimes the console does not render correctly. I got an error that complains about some DOM thing, because I think it's Electron.js. VS Code is made by Electron.js, which allows you to create cross-platform desktop applications by extending the Chromium object, which is a headless browser. So yeah, as you can see now, we have IDs. So the other 100, these, we have IDs for them. Yeah, but I'm not sure why. I'm not sure why the first one does not have. So let me just delete everything here and rerun it here. So npm run start. Hopefully everything is right. So I think in the next, maybe for the comments, I think you got what I'm trying. What is my approach? I think you got it. So we'll create, for example, a private post array, which will be array of partial posts, and here you will pass another callback function which stores these posts, these saved posts inside that array, and also you would add another case for the comments. You will add a function that generates the comments using the post and the user arrays, and here you will need to await the saving for the post entity, then create then call the fake it with the comments entity. But of course I will do that eventually, but yeah, I'm just telling you what I will do. So yeah, now everything should be fine. I'll just hit refresh, see, look at my tables. So no, not the comments, sorry. So I will go to the posts, and here you can see 100 posts with all of them contains a user ID reference to them. So yeah, so I think after I explained all of that and how we can like orchestrate how promises behave, or how promises should wait for each other, so we can control that. I think after this video, everything now regarding the fake data will be just a routine. Yeah, so the comments and the likes and the follows will be fast. I hope. Okay, thank you.